Passionate people, passionate places, the unexplained, mysterious and beautiful College Valley. Remote, undisturbed and rammed up against the Scottish border lies a stunning expanse of Northumberland, little known even to those from round about. The mysterious College Valley slices through the surrounding Cheviot Hills, overlooked by Iron Age forts and the sites of crashed Second World War aircraft, its tranquillity broken only by the babbling college bairn. It's difficult to picture it now, but dozens of Allied and German airmen perished in these scenic hills. Caught out by poor weather, basic navigation equipment and lack of familiarity with an unforgiving landscape, the rolling peaks topping 1,500 feet proved a barrier 19 aircraft could not pass. A stunning, recently renovated memorial in polished granite and bronze in the shadow of Cheviot ensures they will never be forgotten, in a place where time seems to have stood still for generations. The College Valley is quiet, eerily so for urban visitors attuned to a life of surround sound and background traffic hum. The scale of the hills overlooking the valley floor for visitors like me from low-level living draws the gaze upwards and keeps it fixed there. Its solitude, reached via B Road from the A697 north of Wooler, means it's often bypassed by visitors intent on reaching the Scottish border and Coldstream, lying out of sight and mind for many motorists. It's a place I first heard of as a youngster living in Morpeth, 40 miles to the south. A place I'd always wanted to go, despite being unsure as to whether it actually existed. Strange local names like Yeavering Bell, Trowup Burn, Madam Law and the appeal of supposedly being able to walk out of the valley into Scotland, rather than crossing the border sitting in the back of a Ford Fiesta driving past Berwick only heightened its allure. Back in 1995 I missed out on the opportunity to visit College Valley for the first time. A ceremony was held in the valley to remember the Allied and German airmen lost when their planes crashed in the hills that overlook the valley. Working as a journalist way out west in the Journal's Hexham district office meant I couldn't report on the Duke of Gloucester unveiling a memorial to the lost airmen 50 years after the end of the war. My colleague, top writer Christine Hall, had that honor. Then a few years later, my interest in the valley was piqued further when Matt Baker took the BBC Countryfile programme into its pristine beauty, triumphantly stepping over a hillside fence, standing half in Scotland, half in England. As a Northumbrian, I felt duty-bound to get there, and get there I eventually did, finally dragging my carcass to the valley in my late 40s and discovering it to be a special place indeed. The long and winding road into the College Valley begins at the car park at Hethpool Village, a cluster of stunning cottages built by a rich Tyneside industrialist, some of which look as if they've been transplanted from the Cotswolds. Driving beyond this point deeper into the hills is by special permit only, to preserve the peace. The valley sits within the Northumberland National Park and is managed by a dedicated team. As you step out into the valley, look to the skies and if you're lucky you'll see gliders being towed into place by a biplane from a local air club. Riding the currents from the valley floor in total silence, they circle the hills like modern-day pterodactyls, offering what must be an unparalleled view over Cheviot and into Scotland. The valley below is a wildlife haven, home to peregrine falcons, wild goats, roe deer, hare and curlew. Its isolation is a commercial opportunity in itself and resourceful locals have tapped into the lucrative wedding and hiking visitor markets. Tying the knot at Cuddystone Hall, surely one of the UK's farthest flung village halls, offers a backdrop to die for, with late-night noise complaints from neighbours highly unlikely. At the Mount Ooley bunkhouse even further up the head of the valley, there's self-catering accommodation with Wi-Fi to boot, nestled at the foot of Cheviot. The memorial garden overlooked by Cheviot lists the valley's crash sites, the aircraft and the crews who lost their lives. Remnants of a B-17 Flying Fortress US bomber are still to be found on the summit, 2,600 feet up. A Spitfire, Hurricanes, Avro Lancaster, Vickers Wellingtons and Mosquito fighter/bombers are included on a new memorial plaque, pinpointing the areas they crashed and the dates they came down. 7 planes ploughed into Cheviot alone, while 2 German bombers, a Junkers 88 and Dornier, were lost nearby. The Dornier, which crashed into Madame Law Peak, was most likely damaged as a result of being engaged by night fighters at Kelso, unable to climb over the hills as it headed back south. The elements had eroded the original slate memorial, but it was replaced in 2018 after a £25,000 Royal Air Force campaign led by the Alnwick and Rothbury branches of the RAF Association. A number of crash trails can be found on an app for hill walkers courtesy of the National Park, keeping alive the memory of men forever part of the valley's history. There's something about borders that fascinates me. Maybe it's the anticipation of what lies beyond, yet to be discovered. Despite casting a disdainful eye down the years at tourists stopping for photos at the A1 border crossing point lay by, the prospect of walking into a new country off the beaten track is one I've always wanted to savor. So, College Valley visited, several times, tick. But cross their hills into Scotland is still on the to-do list. There's a canny boozer, the plough, over the hills in Yetholm, Scotland, apparently, waiting to rehydrate knackered Northumbrians staggering over the Cheviots into town. I've always been too lazy to do anything about it to date, content to read about it or watch a YouTube video. But no more. After lockdown is lifted, I intend to finally right this wrong and cross into the mysterious wilds of Scotland, via a route like this,